careless, made, and very clearly disgraceful. Their statement was made without regard for the pain of the family and could only have been made by persons who were so eager to please their appointing authority that they left their humanity and their conscience aside. Even though they knew that they had no basis, evidence, or authority for that statement, they made it anyway. Perhaps because why bother about the truth and justice for poor family in Ezra? When you call to the bidding of those who have promised you and have the power to guarantee your further political appointments. So yes, we have struggled as to why persons of their caliber will be so willing to forsake their own credibility just to do a hunch job in expectation for political favor. But we leave them to the judgment of their conscience and to the weightier justice of Allah. As a family, we consider it necessary, however, we talk the public through the facts and to demonstrate to you why the report and the supposed finding of the committee are untrue, horribly careless and insensitive. First, I want to address the mandate of the committee. It is important that we remind ourselves that the Ejura Committee, by their own admission, had no mandate to investigate the death of Kaaka'S. They had no mandate to establish who killed him or why Kaaka'S was killed. We as a family understood that and we made our peace with that. We say this not because we do not want the truth of who killed Kaaka'S officially established, but because we want the person connected to himself properly, carefully, and justified. That is what justice means to us. If you remember, when the committee was first set up, our family decided not to appear before the committee. We took the trouble to communicate our reasons in a letter to the Minister of Interior and to the committee. As we told them, the reason why we decided not to appear before the committee was because we were concerned that the committee was consistently departing from its clear mandate to investigating circumstances under which our military went into Edra and should shot live bullets into a crowd, killing civilians, maiming several others. We were concerned that their work had become very unfocused and was all over the place. In the letter, we stated that we were concerned about the continuous encroachment of committee into questions which, as we understood, were the object of separate and concurrent criminal investigation. We were doubtful of the prudence in the committee's decision to extend this inquiry into questions which the Ghana Police Service had publicly claimed were part of its investigation into the brutal murder of our son, husband, father, Ibrahim Kaaka'S Muhammad. We reiterated our concern that the committee was receiving testimony from persons who could potentially be called to testify in a criminal trial relating to the murder of Kaaka'S, or in a subsequent criminal trial of the individual who are criminally capable of shooting of unarmed civilians and children in Edra. We noted in particular the failure of the committee to advise witnesses of their constitutional rights against self-incrimination, of their right to attend the hearing with the assistance of counsel, and failing to advise them that nothing they say before the committee was privileged and that all could be abused against them in a criminal trial. After the chiefs and elders of Edra summoned the family and rebuked us for our decision not to participate in the hearing. We felt compelled to appear before the committee. We did so largely against our will, but in the hope that those families who had lost their loved ones and seeing their injured would feel more confident in appearing before the committee. It was after all because of them the committee had been created. Yet even when we appear before the committee, Sahada Wudu, Kaaka'S widow, was the only person who took the trouble to ask the committee to clarify its mandate. At no point previously had the committee taken the trouble to clarify its mandate to the witness who appeared before it. In response to Sahada, the committee made it clear that they had no business looking into the death of Kaaka. They admitted on camera, unequivocally, that because the matter was under investigation by the police, it would be improper for them to intervene on those issues. Despite all this, the committee went ahead and made 40% of its findings about the murder investigation into the death of Kaaka. They also made statements that even common sense would have told them was improper. By so doing, they clearly prejudiced the criminal investigation into Kaaka'S murder. At this stage, let us interrogate their own findings that Kaaka'S murder has nothing to do with his social media activity. Let's accept, even though the committee had no mandate to look into the Kaaka'S issue, they went ahead, did just that. One of the things we are baffled by it is that even when they made pronouncements on their issue, the committee was also selective about the kind of evidence it wanted to rely on, what it wanted to believe. All for those justifiable reasons. All for no justifiable reason. With a single stroke of pen, and without any independent investigation of their own to disprove or add weight to any testimony, they decided to choose without testimony that they wanted to believe which ones they wanted to discount. They wanted to believe and which one they wanted to discount. As, for instance, according to the committee, they decided that Sahada hour-long testimony that her husband confided in her on several occasions that the threats against his life in connection with his social media activism was pure speculation. In reaching that conclusion, the committee said that this was because Sahada had not reported those threats to the police and had not told the police about the identity of the individuals. What is curious about that conclusion is that during the hearing, at no point did the committee ask Sahada whether she had reported those threats and the identity of the persons concerned to the police. When you watch the recording of the hearing, at the 31st minute of her appearance before the committee, Ms. Juliet Adame Amwa, a member of the committee, asked Sahada to confirm that she knows the identity of the individuals who were threatening her husband. After Sahada confirmed that she did, the same member of the committee advised Sahada to go ahead and report the names of the individuals to the police. Ms. Amwa, the committee member, offered this advice without inquiring at any point whether Sahada had already made a statement to the police regarding these issues. In fact, at the time of her appearance before the committee, Sahada had already made a statement with the same effect to the police. This the committee could have easily verified this information as they have access to the police docket on Kaaka. Further, the committee suggested that suggested that videos submitted to them by a certain Kaaka'S did not contain threats to Kaaka'S life, and that the video appeared after Kaaka'S death. They claim that for this reason they doubted the authenticity of the videos and considered that this allowed them to state categorically that, accordingly, find that the death of Kaaka was not directly linked to his social media activism. This was the only basis for their conclusion. What is curious is that a committee which was sold to the public as a fact-finding committee made no attempt to actually find out any facts of its own, even though they received several witness statements that made reference to Kaaka'S' role as a social media activist. They did not even try to take a look at Kaaka'S' social media activism. How was it possible for a committee to make 40% of its funding social media activity? How possible is it possible for a committee to make 40% of its finding about the death of a social media activist, and yet not even take the trouble to go to upload the individual or go through his social media feed? Surely, this is not only embarrassing, but discredits the report and whatever conclusion we reach. Surely, this is not only embarrassing, but discredit the report and whatever conclusion they reach concerning the murder of Kaaka. Had the committee been taking the trouble to independently look into Kaaka'S' social media activism, they would have confirmed for themselves several videos that are still on Kaaka'S' Facebook page, where he himself recorded various individuals and mentioned names of persons threatening him. Had they done so, they would have confirmed for themselves that all these videos were mostly live streamed, made on Facebook, and not edited video or videos capable of being tampered with. Who investigates the killing of a social media activist without even logging on to social media? Not even once. I want us all to pause and reflect on this issue. Who investigates the killing of a social media activist without even logging on to social media? Not even at once. You see why it is not surprising that so many people have found the finding of the committee to be very porous, even as the committee has sought to couch their weak and baseless evidence in exaggerated language. Many have been through it and are now convinced that their language did little to cover up the death of their shoddy job. The final thing I want to address is the bizarre claim by the committee that Kaaka'S' murder was probably because of a family feud. Now, one could expect that because of the gravity of such conclusion, its possible repercussion in terms of the public interest in this matter and its effect on the ongoing criminal inquiry into Kaaka'S' death, the committee would have taken time to demonstrate clearly and based sound logic how it arrived at that weighty conclusion. Yet again, the committee failed at this. Their careless regard for the family of Kaaka was evident in that conclusion and has now been confirmed in their subsequent statements in the press. As you are aware, Dr. Vladimir Entridanso has gone on to say publicly that we, the Kaaka family, have no right to question the work of the committee. In his own words, he said, they do not have the right to question us because they did not send us. Obviously, if accept this his logic, it will mean that the committee saw itself itself as only accountable to the person who set them up, and not to be the families of victims, the persons directly affected by the incident in Edra, or even Ghanaian public. We think that this is unacceptable. At no way in the entire report of the committee did they demonstrate or was there any evidence to show that the family of Kaaka'S was embroiled in any turmoil or failed. In fact, in reaching their conclusion, they rely wholesale on the testimony of one Aminu Muhammad, an individual who they say choose to hear behind closed doors, even though this individual has previously repeated some of their discredit statements on Facebook prior to the meeting, the committee. Clearly, this was somebody whose testimony was intended as a wow factor, and so was deliberately shelved from broader public scrutiny. Yet, this was the only evidence the public cited as, the committee cited as confirming their conclusion that Kaaka'S was killed because of family feud. In so doing, the committee failed to subject the testimony of this individual, who they describe as friend of Kaaka'S and a resident of Edra, to even the most basic scrutiny. For instance, by the account of the testimony that the committee itself summarized, the individual was not even a resident of Edra, but a person who lived in Burkina Faso. Secondly, the said individual whose version they decided to swallow hook, line, and sinker was not even in Edra when Kaaka'S was killed or at the time of the Edra killing. In addition, this individual had not been in touch with Kaaka'S for at least the past 10 years. Kaaka'S and the said individual had become entrenched sometimes after Kaaka'S got married to Sahara. Further, the committee failed to subject the person's testimony to any scrutiny whatsoever. For instance, as proof that there was bad blood between Kaaka'S and Idi, the individual claimed that Kaaka'S has caused the arrest of Idi sometimes in 2020. According to this individual, Idi had been kept in Edra police cell for about 3 days at the instance of Kaaka'S, and that he, Aminu, had advised Kaaka'S to leave Idi in the cell for about a week to teach Idi a lesson. The said Aminu even went on to allege that Kaaka'S mother had paid a bribe to the Edra police to secure the release of Idi after 3 days. He also claimed that Idi traveled to Nigeria soon after this release. Despite this heavy reliance on this individual statement, at no point did the supposed fact-finding committee seek to establish whether there was in fact any record of arrests against Idi in 2020, or attempt to cross-check with the police of any fanciful stories Aminu narrated to them. They did not even verify whether indeed Idi had traveled out of the country in 2020, as alleged by said individual. In addition, the committee decided to overlook the obvious absurdities in this story, including the accusation of bribe, corruption made against the police service. The committee, for no discernible reason, chose to believe this individual. No attempts were made to corroborate or independently establish any of the claims made by the said Aminu Muhammad. The committee's failure to perform the most basic due diligence on this story is baffling. The result was that the committee became the mouthpiece of fake news and a senseless conspiracy theory. As a fact-finding committee, the Kumsin Committee had one job, that was to establish facts. They failed in that task miserably. We are also disappointed that the committee treated the testimony of another individual, Sadia Husseini, who accused Babaidi of having something to do with the attack on his brother, as more reasonably probably. Even though the committee, by its own assertion, had been given access to the docket on Kaaka, they decided to ignore the fact that the same individual giving contradictory statements to the police regarding those she claimed to have seen on that night. They treated as irrelevant the fact that the same individual they treated as irrelevant the fact that the same individual recanted her story several times and had in fact given recorded interviews in which she contradicted herself severally on the same issue. Similarly, they failed to take note of the glaring inconsistencies in the testimony of Indira Tualasa and gives any regard to the fact that her story just repeats almost entirely that of Sadia Hussein, word for word. In addition, when scrutinized, it is hard to not conclude that the entire statement makes questions. For instance, this individual claimed that she heard the sound of Kaaka'S motorbike, but what magic was this person able to identify the owner of a motorbike from each sound only? This individual also claimed that after the motorbike arrived, she heard unusual sounds and came to a port to see what was happening. Yet she did not, by her own assertion, see anybody attack Kaaka. This was strange because even by her narration, she would have been the first witness to the scene, because she came out immediately when she claimed to have heard the strange sound. In addition, she claimed that when she was making her way to the scene, she bumped into Abaidi and then shouted that somebody had caused the injury and was running out, so people should come and see him. If by her own assertion, the somebody she saw was Babaidi, why did she not say it there? And then that the person she saw was Babaidi. It seemed clearly to us that the committee was only interested in believing any narrative they found was unfavorable to the family of Kaaka. As such, whenever they encountered the evidence that they did not conform to their made up minds, they either discounted it or did not even bother to solicit it. Also, whenever they heard any account that conformed to what they wanted to hear, they did not even bother to probe it further. We are disappointed that a committee charged with such an important national duty so shamefully failed to uphold the most basic value of impartiality and intelligence. We are also disappointed that a committee supposedly chaired by a justice of a court of appeal failed to show the minimum level of legal awareness and a sense of judicial restraint. Instead, the committee completely abandoned due process, showed zero respect for the fair trial rights of persons currently arrested in connection with the police inquiry into the death of Kaaka'S. We take this as sufficient evidence of their lack of integrity and their insensitivity. We are now unfortunately convinced that following the thorough work conducted by the committee, the Attorney General will, on the authority of his commission, Hatchet Joy, discontinue the prosecution of 2 members of the NPP who were arrested in connection with Kaaka'S murder. We have always known this to be the intention of the person involved in this charade. In fact, it is common knowledge that information circulating in some quarters in the Gra community for the past several weeks has been that several supporters of the NPP in Gra have been assured by high-level officials in their party that the Attorney General will seek to release their foot soldiers caught up in the murder inquiry. We do not take it for granted that the committee's report now provides the Attorney General with what he needs to go on and make this party people happy. But even persons in position of trust in this country persist in corrupting our laws and pervading the course of justice for illegal and dishonest partisan ends. We remain resolute in the belief that the truth will always win. As a result, we would like to remind everyone of the facts in this matter. In fact, the fact is that Kaaka'S in several of his videos talked constantly about the fact that his life was in danger due to the threat he was receiving in connection with his activism. Kaaka'S also recorded his interaction with certain individuals affiliated with the NPP in Egra who threatened him constantly. These individuals told Kaaka'S that they thought he was making their political party look bad and that his activism will affect the electoral fortunes of the party. They claim on the recording that they had been paid to warn Kaaka'S. He said that because of his online activism, the municipal chief executive sent people to warn him. He said that he had decided to shoot that video so that his audience will see that if he gets beaten or it is because of the anxiety of this political element over his social media activism. 2 of the individuals who were recorded on video for threatening Kaaka'S life are the persons who were arrested by the police in connection with Kaaka'S death. After Kaaka'S was attacked, we found at the crime scene 2 large sticks which were covered with blood and which were used to beat up Kaaka'S. These were handed over to the police. And the police saying that Edie carried 2 clubs alone and beat up Kaaka'S. We also handed over a mobile phone to the police. We know for that fact that the police handling Kaaka'S phone have been creating his WhatsApp and have even exited exit groups he was on. We consider this conduct to be deliberately interfering with evidence and improper. We have also had cause to complain severally, including to the Inspector General of Police, that certain officials of the Ghana Police Service went to physically assault Baba Idi and force his hand to tamper certain documents. He does not know the content of this document. This complaint and a request to meet the IG was delivered to his office nearly 2 months ago. We are still waiting for the Inspector General of Police, who we want to believe is committed to reforming the police service, to act accordingly and even acknowledge the complaint made to him. We also note our disappointment that after over 90 days of crying for justice, and after they have led the entire public to believe that Baba Idi killed Kaaka, it was only after the report was released that the police sent crime scene investigators to the house to investigate the crime scene on the 30th of September. This was just last Thursday, 30th of September. In essence, police did not even take the trouble to properly investigate the scene of the crime before leading the onslaught against our family for several months ago. All of these facts were available to the committee, yet they chose to deliberately mislead the public in order to cover up their poor recommendation regarding the draft committee. It is for the various reasons that I have just outlined that we, the family of Kaaka, reject the report of the draft committee. We consider it to be a hatchet job, incompetent, structurally unsound, and a stain on the integrity of persons who set it up, as well as those who serve on it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So we are going to look at the conclusion part of it.
Please, we are
not yet done.
That one, Patricia with us. It's just a few minutes. Yeah, so please. We will just end it.
Check the CIP whether it's like the focus.
Yeah, thank you for your patience. I think this portion is very, very important. Not to us alone as Kaaka'S family, but also to the media. So, the patient with us. Thank you very much, the spokesperson of Kaaka'S family, my nephew, Mohammed. At this stage, we would like to inform the press of some of the steps the family will be taking. Earlier on, I think we had already informed you that this press conference is in 2 steps. So this is the last part, the most important part of the steps here. So, yeah. After due deliberation, the family has decided to make a formal police complaint against the said Aminu Mohammed regarding the allegations of bribery, corruption he made against the mother of Kaaka and the Ejura police. We think that this accusation should not be taken for granted, as it taints the Ejura police in a considerable manner. We believe that it is in the interest of the Ejura police to get to the bottom of this allegation of corruption and the dereliction of duty made against the Ghana Police Service. This is important to ensure the faith of the public in the work of the police service. To make a formal police complaint regarding the Sadia Fusini and her sidekick Munir to Alassane for what we believe to be deliberate lies and attempt to deceive the police in the performance of their functions. To request another audience with the Inspector General of Police regarding our displeasure with the investigation into Kaaka'S murder. The family is also considering all its legal rights in connection with the report of the Ejura Committee, including the possibility of legal action against the members of the Ejura Committee and some of the witnesses who appear before them. In this connection, are also asking for the support of the public towards the welfare needs of Kaaka'S widow and 5 children who have been left behind, as well as to support our fight for justice. We will appreciate any help towards covering our legal fees in this question, and I would urge the media to help us in this regard. As you can see, the Kaaka'S wife and the children, we have 5 children, and already he was the breadwinner of the family. Now he's no more. And you know, this battle is not an easy battle. It is a battle that we have to deal with the authority. And I'm sure all of you here want justice. So you should help us at least to solicit some funds that can help the children and also our legal battle. We are also hoping that a fund will be established to honor Kaaka and to train upcoming citizens journalists who understand the virtue of speaking truth to the establishment. We have made an appeal to the National Chief Imam, our father, our grandfather, the most honest person that we know, to support us in this endeavor. We are also counting on support of the public to protect Kaaka'S legacy by supporting the fund when instituted. Kaaka died as a hero, and we are certain that his courage and conviction will defy the cowardice of those who refuse him justice. We are confident that his memory will inspire a new generation of Ghanaians who will take up the call in our nation and in our national anthem for us to cherish fearless honesty and to boldly defend our democracy. Here I will thank the media and thank you all for coming. So I will hand over. But before I do that, I would like the media to help me to give thanks to our legal counsel. I think he's not here. Most of the times when we have a program like this, he's always with us. But he has traveled to London, and then I think the assistants are helping. In fact, he is doing this not because of anything, not because of politics, but he's doing it for his quest for justice. And we need some of people like him doing things without money. We have not paid him anything, but he himself is even using his fund in organizing this thing. So we thank lawyer Oliver Famo. We thank him very much. Okay.
Thank you very much. There will be some questions if you can ask them. But the family of one of the victims of the military shooting is also here. So I don't know if you also have.
Yeah, he will have some.
Yes, so please.
I am Abdullahi Abubakar, the elder brother of the late Abdul Nasir Yusuf. We, as the family of the late Abdul Nasir Yusuf, are here to support the idea of this press conference. Simply because we are all fighting for the same cause. We are all fighting for justice. And I think every one of you here are with the same mind. We are seeking for justice. I think we are in the country of law. This country has constitution, and we want everybody to be equal in the face of the law of this country. Nobody is supposed to be above the law of this country. Since this report has been published, up to now, we as a family of the late Abdul Nasir Yusuf have not seen any government official coming to discuss with us how the report has been out. What is your feelings? What are your demands? What do you expect from the government? Nothing like that. And we feel that we cannot talk about the death of the late Abdul Nasir Yusuf without mentioning the late Kaaka. It was the death of the late Kaaka that generated the killing of these two young guys and the wounded person. All what we are saying is that we are here to call upon the government through the media houses that these witnesses called Sadia and the other witnesses has to bring to movement because they gave false witnesses. When that thing happened, had it been that same day that the thing happened, they came out and denounced the person who did that, wouldn't have come to the killing of our brothers. They hided the person who did that. They came out with first report saying that the first statement was she was in the house, in her room, when she heard certain noise in the house. Sometimes when the late Kaaka comes into the house, he used to drive away goats, or I can say animal, from the house, then you lock the main door. So she thought maybe Kaaka was driving away these animals. But when she opened the door, with those people hearing the sound of opening the door, they started running away. They were with their hands, 2 sticks. They threw the sticks away and they ran away. She could not identify them. That was the first statement she gave. Until my brother, who is the engine of our family, lost his life because they were manifesting, protesting, demonstrating for the right of that late Kaaka who was in jail. Died. Yet after they arrested 2 people who is related with those women, they came out now to say what we said at the beginning wasn't the truth because we did not want to bring family conflict between the family of Kaka. But it was rather the senior brother of Kaka who killed him after we have lost our brothers. So we are saying that if they want justice to be done, these two women has to be arrested. Then they will come and then explain very well to our judiciary. The judges has to interrogate this woman so that the real truth will come out, so that next time such a thing will not happen again. So we are here as a family of Abdul Nasir Yusuf to support this press conference. Secondly, we have a proverb in our language that says, if you see a beer of somebody catch fire, throw water beside yours. You are the media. You are the voice of the voiceless. It's because of you that we have so many evidence about these shootings. It was Joy News who applied all energy, risked their life to capture all these incidents. So we cannot go without you. All what we are calling, we want justice. The report that came out, they said they would compensate the family of the deceased. That is we, the family of Abdul Nasir Yusuf and Muntaka Muhammad. We are not after any compensation without justice. We don't want this thing to appeal again in this nation. You know why this thing is continuing killing, because we are in the system of impunity. This thing happened in Ayawaso West Committee. Even up to now, the compensation that was supposed to be given to the family of the victim, nobody is in position of 1 + 1. 2 years now. No judgment, nothing. The same thing happened during the election at Techimai. No justice, nothing. So they feel you can come out as they are saying, as a Ghana Armed Forces military, what we call armed person, you go out and kill poor citizens without any reason, and you just go free. Those who kill our Zongo 7, they compensated them with money. That money doesn't exist now with the family. It has already finished. But they are in the grave. Those perpetrators are on the street walking around. That is what we are fighting for. So we thank you very much for helping us, we the voiceless, to make our voice out. It is through you that the whole world, Ghanaians, will know that we are in severe pain. So we thank you very much for coming.
All right, thank you very much for coming. As you may have noticed, the Economic Fighters League issued a joint release with Fix the Country. And we have already said that this report that has been released is a bogus report. It's bogus and fraudulent. And Matthew have done justice to why it is bogus and fraudulent. A lot of the findings are completely out of line, and clearly, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Soldiers have gone on the ground, and you yourself have stated that immediately they got down from their vehicle, they started shooting at unarmed, harmless civilians, leading to the death of young people and the permanent maiming of others. And what you can recommend is that the military should do internal investigation and give appropriate sanctions. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? We all know that none of these investigations ever brings any sort of justice. So this report must be thrown into the dustbin. And I think that the work that these people have done, they must sit down and do introspection and ask themselves, if they were in the position of the families that have been affected, would they have been happy with this report? Now, I will not go into some of the specifics in the report, but clearly, the reports, go back and listen to the hearings. Madam Sada here, she would have spoken today, but she said she's not feeling very well. So she has chosen not to speak. But when she appeared before the committee, she asked them point blank, are you here to investigate the murder of my husband? And they said no. So in what capacity, by what mandate, by what stretch of the imagination were they able to come out with a finding that Kaaka was not killed by reason of his activity, without even verifying any of the videos that Kaaka himself made about threats on his life on his Facebook, without even getting any sort of evidence, hard evidence, including the murder weapons that were at the scene of the murder. I also like to use this opportunity to also thank the media and provide some context into what some of the things that we've been doing since the incident happened in June. We have been, when we heard about Kaaka'S attack, because we have been in touch with him, he was working with one of our fighters called Rasbamba, and when it happened and we got wind of it, we immediately dispatched some fighters to come for a teaching hospital to be with him and some of the other victims. Unfortunately, he lost his life, and we were able to raise some funding based on the prevalence of the public, up to around 11,000 that we made available to the Kaaka family and the other families. But that cannot be enough, since Kaaka's wife is here, he had 5 children, the other families are there. So the appeal that has been made, I just want to re-echo it, that let us think deeply about the work that Kaaka was doing. Kaaka was doing the work for God and country, and in order to make sure that we give evidence of our regard for citizen journalism and active citizenship, being citizens and not spectators, then we must be ready to support in every way possible. The Economic Fighters League will continue to be in support, and will continue to do everything that is necessary to make sure that justice is brought not only to the family of Kaaka, but to the families of the others who were murdered by the soldiers, and all the impunity that has greeted the investigations and the report, that bogus and fraudulent report that has been released. Okay, so Madam Sada, Kaaka's widow will say a few words.
Ex-wife. Group. The mic.
nti yɛkɔɛ ne bisa mo baasɛm baako pɛ sɛ ɔmo bɛyɛ me kunu nhwɛ mu anaasɛ asogyafoɔ a moko mmeranteɛ na ɔmo bɛyɛ ɔmo hwɛ mu na ɔmo si yan na ɔmo bɛyɛ asogyafoɔ no nhwehwɛ nso apɛ ɔmo yɛ nhwehwɛmu no wie yɛ no sɛ kɔmitifoɔ no si me kunu panyini ɛna ɛko me kunu nso me deɛ engine saa ayi no ɛyɛ fake engine de koraa yɛ engine di no one can.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I think if the media has any questions to pose, we can ask them.
It's done, right?
Very interview out there.
My name is Mr. Mohammed. You said the hearing was done in Kama, that of Kaaka'S relative, whose testimony was based on to say that Kaaka was killed as a result of family. Were you present at that instance where the hearing? Yes, when he was being trained, because we were not, it was in Kama, so the public was in Kama.
Thank you very much for your question. Now the question is in respect to Amin Mohammed, who claimed he was a friend to Kaaka. Now, when he appeared before the committee, he was in the camera. The question is clear, he was asking whether we were there. Actually, as a family, we were not there. But based on the report, it was told that it was in camera. So we were not allowed in. We as a family were not there, so it was all in camera.
So how did he manage to arrive at the input he made? That he said all the things that he said.
Now, all what we are saying is from the report, the summary of witness statement he has given, the report. So we are only trying to juxtapose what he has said in the report with the clear evidence we have before us. So this is what I can say.
And the second question, you visited a chief imam a couple of months ago. How has things been so far? Has the chief imam made any input?
Thank you. We visited National Chief Imam a couple of weeks ago. He demanded that we should bring a petition, and we did that. We submitted the petition, I think 3 weeks ago, received by Chief Imam's lawyer and the protocol officer and others. And to be frank with you, they said they were going to treat it in a sense of agency. But something happened. For our chief imam, he is somebody, even though he has done something, he was part of all this thing. We were aware that he has spoken to the vice president. But later there was some kind of mischief around by some officers that we can't disclose it here. So we are told, and to add to what my nephew said, the first question that you, I'm sure you are aware that the committee said they had some people that testify in camera, I think including either military or some police officer. So for we ourselves, we didn't know who they were until the report came out. And even ourselves, we were supposed to testify in camera when we first decided not to appear, because it wasn't their mandate. We were not part of their mandate. But later, for the issue with our council, we decided to appear. So all these things that we are talking about was from the report. Thank you.
Okay.
Just a quick one. So you attributed the release. My name is Noble, TV3. You sort of attributed the release of the report to an RTI request made to the presidency. How about it was just a coincidence that 2 days later the report should have been out?
Please, can you,
What I'm answering is, you attributed the release of the report to an RTI request to the presidency about 2 days before the release of the report. So, couldn't it be by just mere coincidence that it happened 2 days after your RTI request?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think this couldn't have been coincidence at all, because you were all aware, as what my nephew said. We had an information of, I think then it was just about 4 days or so for them to appear in court again. My nephew Edie and then the 2 suspects. So we've heard that, and we wrote to the president and also Ministry of Interior. We sent the right of information bill. We requested based on that they should release the report, or we gave them 2 weeks. Otherwise, we will advise ourselves. So it's not a mere coincidence. It came based on what they should delay the report and see what was. So it wasn't a mere coincidence. It was because of what we wrote to them. Thank you.
Now, added to that, looking at the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, Section 18 of it, Act 2019, Act 78, it clearly stipulates the mandate of an individual to request an information from a given authority within 14 days stipulated period. So that was what we triggered. So we're only working within the 1992 Constitution. Yes.
Hello, sir. You indicated you wanted to sue some members of the committee and then also some witnesses that are there. Can you be specific with this?
Yes. We're only talking of one Amin Mohammed who claimed that Kaaka'S' mother bribed the police to get Edie released somewhere around 2020. So he's the first person. And to add to that, we are also looking at even the committees itself. There are some of things they told us their mandate is not within the limit of investigating the death of Kaaka. They went extra mile to do that. We are also looking within the arena of the law to see whether we can also sue them. Now, to add to that, one Munira who was corroborated with Sadia Husseini, you can realize that there are a series of contradictions within the statements they have given, of which the committee do not emphasize on that. So we are of the view that we will compel the police to get them arrested so that the necessary thing will be done.
Yes. On their relation with the 2 suspects, can you make it clear to us how they are related? Yes.
Yeah, I made mention that because we are all living together. There's only one house between my house and their house. There's only one house between my neighbor and then the house of one of the suspects who is proceeding, Alasan. Yeah, so within ourselves, we know each other.
So is there any family relation?
There's family.
The suspect and the witness.
Yeah, there's a family relation.
And can you explain to us what that relationship is?
The wife of that woman who came and then gave testimony at the commission. Sadia Hussein is related to that Alasan Hussein.
In what are they siblings, uncle?
That one I don't know. I know only what I know is they are related.
Because you can't take it on like that. You can't tell us there is a relation. Right? Okay.
So they are related, as he said. They are related.
In what way? That's what we're going to.
He just mentioned it to you. And they are related. So you can also investigate.
I think my colleague asked about how he got the report into the public space, and he said that based on the act here. But the act says that before you get it, you write to the commission. Did you write the commission, or you go to the presidency and minister of the
Yeah, thank you. I think the report has been, is now not with the committee again. It has been submitted to the president. The report has been given to the president.
No, I'm asking of how you got the report. You said that you used the RTI Act.
Yes.
Before the report was released.
Yes.
So he was asking whether it was coincidence. And I'm asking that, did you ask for the report through the commission, the RTI commission, or you wrote to the presidency and the minister of the interior?
No, we wrote, I think he has just mentioned, he's a citizen, you understand? He has just mentioned the laws that as, I don't know if we wrote to the president. We wrote to the president.